What's up, guys? Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of our Meathead Monday tip. Today we're talking about straps for the deadlift, which can be a controversial topic. Some people might even say it's cheating or whatnot. But like anything else, sometimes the answer is somewhere in between, and it's all context specific. If you take someone like strongman, for example, they're actually allowed to use straps in competition. So for them, it's actually going to be more specific to their training. They're allowed to use it. It's the same thing like for a powerlifter wearing a belt. You know, a belt helps you just like straps do. So obviously, when you're training for a competition, understand like the rules of your competition. So if you're training for powerlifting versus strongman or just general fitness, there's going to be some different things of what constitutes cheating and all that stuff. But that being said, straps are a tool like anything else, and it's a tool in the toolbox. You want to take out that tool when it's appropriate. So one thing you definitely don't want to do, you don't want to use straps for everything. If you use straps for everything, you're not going to really work your grip, and you're also not going to be working the specificity of the movement, especially if you're a powerlifter. If you're a powerlifter, you want to at some point, especially as you get closer to the end of a peaking cycle, as you get closer to a contest, you want to train the competition lifts in a more specific fashion. So making sure whether you use a mixed grip, double overhand or a hook grip, that you're using whatever grip that you're going to be using in competition in your training. Back when I was first starting, I kind of didn't use straps at all, and I feel like that was a mistake. And there was definitely a point in my career where I think I kind of abused straps too much, and then I started getting a little bit more grip issues. Using myself as an example, I don't have like the longest fingers, I don't have the biggest hands. So while I didn't really have a lot of grip issues when I was younger, there's a point where you're going to get to a certain point where your back strength is going to potentially be stronger than your grip. They say like you're not strong enough yet to have a grip problem. At some point, you're going to probably have some sort of grip issue, especially as you get really stronger. You're going to those 700, 800 pound, 900 plus pound deadlifts. Just holding that sheer weight is going to be an issue, especially if you're a bigger guy. Maybe you have like some stubbier fingers. Maybe you have thicker fingers. That can be an issue. So for me, hand health is definitely important. Like I said, I don't have the longest fingers or the biggest hands. So straps have allowed me to improve my volume for my pulling exercises, and that's going to allow to get me a better training effect for my back without sacrificing my hand health. So one strategy that we like to typically use at Gaglione Strength is we advocate do your main movement, do your primary deadlift movement without straps. That's going to work your grip. So like for example, on this particular day, I worked up to a 595 pound deadlift. Made sure to hold it at the top. That's going to be specific. I did it for a single. I was able to hold on to it. I made sure I actually held on to it extra long at the top just to work my hands and all that stuff. Especially when using a competition deadlift bar. For those of you guys who don't have access to a deadlift bar is a little sharper. It's a little thinner. So while it can aid in your grip, it can aid in setting your hands better. It is going to be a little sharper, and it can kind of allow you to tear calluses a little bit more easily, especially when doing deadlift for reps. So as a general rule of thumb, if you are thinking about adding straps to your training and adding straps to your toolbox, I recommend doing the main movement without straps, especially your heavy work, so you're getting that grip work and it's more specific to the competition lift. And if you do a secondary deadlift movement, so on this particular day, I did some block pulls. Coach Ben did some sumo stiff-legged deadlifts. We were using straps for that. We were using some higher reps. I was also doing some conventional work, down sets, some lighter work with straps as well. So I did my main work. I did a sumo deadlift for my main movement. I did some heavy singles, and then I personally did some conventional work after, and then I did some sumo block pulls after that. I did those with straps, and Coach Ben did his sumo work as well, just barehanded, just normal raw, and then he did his sumo stiff-legged deadlifts with straps. So he did the secondary movement with straps. Typically, it's a little bit higher reps. So again, if we're using a sub-max weight, it's really not like a huge cost to our grip, but it's going to put our shoulders in a little bit better position. It's going to improve our shoulder health a little bit because we're not going to be always in that supinated over-under position. It's also going to allow us to save our hands so we can get more work, accumulate more volume, so we can get more work in and eventually accumulate more strength gains over time. So another way that you can utilize straps, like I said, for me, this is something I like to do. I like to do my main work, so if I'm doing like a bunch of singles, I might do a bunch of singles for my main work, and if I'm doing some sort of AMRAP set, especially if it's like 5 reps or more, then I'm going to use straps, because a lot of times, sometimes it may be really hard to hold on to the bar for 5 reps or more, and especially when you're going to like a contest specific deadlift, and you only have to hold it for 1 rep. If you're doing a set of 5, 6, 7, or 8 reps or more, On a deadlift, I really don't see there's a huge cost to using straps because it's really not, it's kind of far away from the competition movement. It's not as specific, but it's a great way to accumulate more volume over time. So for example, like you might do, so in my conventional work, I did 4 sets of 3. I did those, and then I did an AMRAP set afterwards to accumulate a little bit more volume. I strapped up for that, and I did, I think it was like nothing too heavy, but I did 465 for 8, and that was after doing 595 for a single for my main work, just to give some context to that. So should you use straps? It's a tool. It depends on what you're working for. If you're a beginning lifter, I would try to go strapless for as long as you can. And then as you get more advanced, maybe start tearing calluses and things like that. I would recommend, once you get to that point where hand health is an issue and you're strong enough for that to happen, maybe this is a 2.5, maybe this is a 2 times body weight deadlift, a 2.5 times body weight deadlift, definitely a 3 times body weight deadlift. Once you're kind of approaching those more elite numbers, maybe you're nationally ranked in the deadlift, starting to add some straps in for your secondary movement can be an option, as well as for some of those higher AMRAP sets that are 5 to 8 repetitions or more. That'd be a great time to use straps. So what straps should you get? So I like to use these Ironmind straps. I'm pretty sure you can get these on Elite FTS, but obviously you can check out ironmind.com as well. I got these, have lasted a really long time. I've done as much as 635 for a double in these. I've done 545 for 8. I've done 585 for 5 on numerous occasions. Maybe like low 600s for triples, things like that. You know, so this has helped me quite a bit to accumulate some more volume over time. I usually use these. So if I'm doing something heavier, maybe 400 or 500 pounds, 600 pounds plus, I like to use the normal straps. And basically what you could do here, again, I'm not necessarily an expert in straps, maybe some of these strongmen could be a better guide, but basically all I do is I want to make sure that the strap is kind of facing the same direction as my thumb. I'm going to get it nice and tight on the wrist. And all we're going to do here is just wrap it around loosely once or twice, kind of cinch it up, wrap it around loosely once or twice, cinch it up, and then we can start to crank here. Once I feel good tension on my wrist, I'm ready to go, and then I can start doing my repetitions, get in my stance, take my air, and then set it up. And then we can kind of let go from there. Very simple. So that's kind of using the straps again. You can just roll it over once or twice, and then start to just crank it down. Now let's say maybe you're doing barbell rows, maybe you're doing other things, maybe you're doing some upper back work, or maybe you're just using something really light, maybe it's like under 60% of your max. These are quick straps from Ironmind. I believe that they're made for Olympic lifting, but again, that's not my expertise, but I really like these because they're a little bit less time to set up. So if I'm doing something like a barbell row, for example, I like to use these quick straps. I don't really need a ton of support if maybe I'm rowing, 225, 275 in that range, and I don't need a ton of grip support, but it just allows me to save my hand. So all we're gonna do here is wrap it around once, put it through the middle, and I can cinch it up just like normal. So this would be great for like rows and other pulling exercises or really high rep deadlifts that are kind of lighter. So again, I'm gonna put the strap through the middle, grab it, cinch it through. If I want to do like some underhand rows, I can do the same thing. Cinch it through. So if I was doing some supinated Pendlay rows or barbell rows, I could do that as well. That's going to kind of save my grip a little bit. So these quick straps are another great option. They're a little bit more user-friendly, I think. They don't take as much time to set up. And if I want to kind of like let go right away, I can let go right away. You're not going to get kind of caught on the bar. So these are also Ironmind. Again, an Elite FTS sells a bunch of great straps as well. So should you use straps, should you not use straps? The answer is always almost it depends. But just understand that straps aren't necessarily cheating, especially if you're a strongman. As long as you have a reason for using them, and it's a good way to accumulate more volume, save your hands, and help improve your deadlift, because more volume over time is going to help lead you to a bigger pull. And if you look at a lot of these strongmen have the best deadlifts in the world. There's multiple 1,000-pound plus deadlifts, regardless if they're using straps or not. And a lot of times these guys are doing deadlifting for reps, so I think there's something to be said about that. And all these guys are using straps in their training. So straps can also be a tool to overload the pull as well, so potentially you could even do your 1 rep max for multiple repetitions or just more volume to save your hands. So these are all different ways, again, to recap. You could use the straps to overload, of course. That's the easiest way, but I recommend using the straps to accumulate more volume over time definitely give these a try for your secondary pulls and for your AMRAP sets. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. If this video helped you, please share it. Please click subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.